Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 3 of the season here for the Mini F2 League with Invictus Racing League. I'm Jack, TM53 Synopsis, your commentator, as per usual, in this wonderful little championship that we've got going on here in IRL. And I'm delighted to say that this evening, joining me in the commentary box, and for the rest of the season as well, Jordan has joined us, aka JPH99. Jordan, good to have you here, mate. How are you doing?
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm doing well. Excited to be back. Obviously, a couple of weeks off since start of this season, and it's going to be interesting after seeing the results from the first couple of rounds to see how tonight goes at Hungary, because it's notoriously difficult to overtake, but with the F2 cars it could be a lot more interesting in comparison to the F1 races we get.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's more opportunity in terms of the way that the cars work. There's a lot less downforce, so the drivers don't have to worry so much about dirty air, which could impact them. And there'll be a few more chances, I think, tonight for the drivers to get some overtakes made. The lobby is just about to click over to the start times. There we go, 25 seconds and now, and counting down. And obviously we've got the drivers' stand-ins to talk about in a little moment in time. Jordan, I don't mind if you want to go through that or not. That's absolutely okay, your choice. But I think tonight, realistically, you know, we're at the halfway mark of the season. We've done those 2 opening rounds. Ruddo leads the championship. Shortbread 224 in hot pursuit after his amazing feature race victory last week at Azerbaijan. What are you looking out for, though, Jordan, today?
Generally, just who's going to have the most consistency around here, because mistakes will get punished, and ultimately qualifying is going to set the tone for the feature race here. If you get a good qualification, you're in for a good race, provided you're careful into turn 1 and you don't do anything silly during the race. So I mean, probably looking around like sort of that shortbread Ruddo area to set the front of this field.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got other drivers in this evening who've also won a race so far this season. We've got Bjorn de Boer, who won the first sprint of the championship back at Zandvoort. We had Reshka stealing the sprint race victory from Ruddo on the line last week at Azerbaijan. So, you know, those 4 drivers you're looking at thinking they could definitely get it, not just on pole position, but could take some very big points tonight. Session due to start in the next 20 seconds. So I'm looking forward to this, Jordan. Spud has just commented to say, looks dry, rain dance didn't work.
Yeah, although Spud's weather crew have said that before, and it's absolutely downpoured, so I'm not going to believe a word they say until we see the weather.
Let's see how we go then. We go on to a flying lap. Jordan, pick a driver. We'll ride on board if you want to give us a lap.
We're on board then with Ruddo, is the man I'm on board with in Dirkson's car. As we head down towards turn 1, hit the brakes just after 100 metres. Get it slightly turning in, slightly off camber, so be careful with the throttle as you open it up through turn 2. Or not turn 2, but could be turn 2. Down to turn 2 you go after a bit of DRS. Again, off camber corner, got to be careful with the throttle, but if you can get on early, you'll carry a lot of pace through 3 as you head up towards turn 4. Get it to the right, you want to hit the curb as much as you dare, but not enough. Ruddo just takes too much on the entry, nearly loses it, but catches it well. It's going to cost him time, and it'll cost him all the way through 5, a little twitch as well. Into the chicane of 6 and 7. Again, attack the curves, but not the lifted parts. 8, 9, 10, this is crucial, and again, Ruddo just takes a bit too much curb, loses the back end slightly. 10 should be flat, 11 should be a slight lift or down or brake as you get it turned in to bring the throttle in. Down to 12, where infamously Verstappen hit the wall on the reconnaissance lap to the grid. 13, long hairpin left, again waiting for the throttle but using all the pit lane entry to get yourself out of it. And the final corner, Ruddo takes a tight line, multiple lines you can take through there. You can go deep to cut back for a better fire to the line, but Ruddo finishes 8th on that lap, a 1:27.7. Shortbread, the only man in the 26s to take pole position.
Well, Shortbread carrying on his fantastic form once again. Beyond the Ball saying in the comments area, invalidated. That is going to cost him massively during the feature race that we're going to go into shortly. Let's have a rundown of these qualifying results then. It is Shortbread 224 on pole position. It's Ashtube in second place. The two Rodin cars having a great starring role. ARL in third place. YB Maras is joining them on the second row of the grid. YB Maras has really impressed me in this F2 Championship. Row 3 is Klitsch Kiri with DXT Matty. Reshka and Ruddo are on row 4, Matty Rudd and IRC Bruce rounding out the top 10. It's Lionel Griesby and Ginger Tiger in 11th and 12th. Lionel Griesby will be very happy with that 11th lap time. The director of IRL is 13th, like his nameplate, with Stephen in 14th. So Spud 15th, Nitro Gash clearly having some issues on his lap in 16th. Beyond the Ball and Anthony Hunt 20, not setting a valid lap time.
Yeah, very easy, especially through turn 4 to pick up some track limits. So not surprising that a couple of people invalidated, and we saw with Ruddo's lap how easy it is to have a twitch off the curb. I think that looks dry, but on my screen it looks almost a little bit wet and dark. But
it looks overcast. Yeah, it does look. I agree with you, Jordan. It does look a little bit damp, but it's definitely overcast. And you know, we said it before. Well, Jordan said it before. Spud's pit crew have been wrong about the weather forecast before. You never know. This could all change. For those that are new to Invictus and you're watching, do subscribe. It's great to have you on board and watching us today. But if you are watching, the way that the F2 Mini League works is that we have a feature race following a one-shot qualifying. Fabulous. We get through it all, no problem whatsoever. And then for the sprint race, the top 12 from the feature race are reversed for the sprint race. Now, last week we had some issues with the lobby where the sprint order, for whatever reason, was jumbled up. Now, we have a theory about why that was the case, but we will hope that today it doesn't bog down and ruin us out, because if it does, we'll have to reset the lobby, which is infuriating, but there we are.
Yeah, Spud saying it's getting brighter as the race goes on. I'm going to suggest that's brighter, but yeah, I mean it's definitely dry, as you can tell from the garages. There's some slick tyres showing in the garages, so we're definitely dry to start with. The question is, obviously, with F2, especially the feature race, you have to do a minimum number of laps before you can make your pit stop. And that can make strategy quite hard, especially around Hungary, as the tyre wear can be, if you're a little bit harsh on the tyres with the sliding, can be quite high.
Yeah, absolutely, it can do. And I mean that the part of the strategy this evening for the drivers is going to come from the hard compound tyres. We're going to see a lot of drivers using the white-walled Pirelli 18-inch tyre. We expect to see the mediums typically for the other part of the stint that the drivers have to do. If there's a safety car, someone's going to gamble for the softs if it comes on later in the race. But I think the hard tyre is quite robust around here. It's not particularly fast compared to the mediums from what I have seen. However, that's not to say things can't change. You just cannot plan or predict what's going to happen in this F2 league. We've had 4 races and 4 different race winners. So who knows? We could definitely have a 5th in a moment.
Absolutely, Spud saying sorry. You can't spell. It's okay, Spud. Don't worry. We are just having a bit of a laugh with you. And also hello to Hunty. The other good thing about this mini league as well, Jack, is no setups. I say no setups. They are allowed to choose from a set of 5 presets, and I think that makes this a hell of a lot more exciting. And I think it also suits Maris, which we've seen a turn of pace from in comparison to the F1 leagues where the setups are allowed. He seems to have excelled with everyone sort of having to do the same setups.
Yeah, it seems to, like you said, it's a great equaliser really, because we know there are a lot of people out there who've got excellent setups, and that can make a huge amount of difference in the F1 cars that we typically race in for IRL, and as we will be doing for F1 25. But these cars, they've all got the same chassis, they all run the same regulations, and they're all running fixed setups. So it's just allowing a little bit more of driver control. That I'd say it would allow a little bit more driver control, because there's no setup inferences that can make the slight difference to how much throttle you can put on going through turn 5, or what's the downforce levels like through turn 3. It just gives that opportunity for other drivers to have a shine. And Maras has been really unlucky this season in this mini league, because he was running in the top 3 That should be the formation lap as we go underway. Yes, there we go. But he was running in the top 3 in Zandvoort, and he was doing a really impressive job there. But, you know, sadly got caught out with an incident, and he's been quick in Baku, so you never know. Tonight might be the night he finally gets a result that he deserves.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, with the setups, it's, you know, it becomes more about the driver. It's all about how the driver drives the car and that sort of skill element. And me personally, I love it when it's like that. It's, you know, this is not about how well can you set the car up, how well can you practice your setup. It's just all about you get in the car. It is what it is. You have to make that work, and it makes it a lot more exciting. And we've got a nice bit of mixed strategy on the tyres as well. We've got 5 drivers starting on the hard tyre. Matty Rudd, Bruce, O'Stephen, Spud, and Anthony Hunt. All starting on the hard tyre, everyone else going for the soft, so they'll be in quite early in this race in comparison, because those softs will not be nice in terms of tyre wear, being 2 steps lower than the hards.
Which makes me think that what Spud was saying in the comments about not being able to select the mediums must be that this isn't the tyre that was selected for the feature race in last year's regulations. So 2 steps difference is going to make it's certainly going to have an impact at the start of this race. You're looking at Matty Rudd and IRC Bruce thinking, they're going to have to try and fend off the couple of cars between themselves and the Trident hard shod running team. That'll be interesting for strategy, won't it, George, for those two? We'll have to work that one out.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, for the Tridents, it's going to be a case of whoever's leading gets first service and to do what they want to do. And we saw last season Spud and O'Stephen in the F1 category of cars pick up a real nice turn of pace. So that could be a very interesting one to look at as we're all lined up on the grid, and Mikey can't park an F2 car.
Nope. Just like his normal driving. But in any case, we've got the green flags flying at the back here. The 5 red lights coming on for round 3 of the Mini F2 League. And the race is live as they blast towards turn 1. It's a good start from Shortbread. Ashtube on the 2nd place row hasn't done too badly. Maris up to 3rd already as they hurtle towards turn 1. Shortbread defending the inside line from Ashtube. Then it's Maras who's got past his teammates. Reshka's in 5th. They're side by side, 3 wide, a little bit further back. One of the Prema cars going all the way around the outside. Won an overtake from Lionel Greasby up to 9th place. Matty Rudd hanging on to 10th place at the moment, just trying to get those hard tyres fired up as the 2 MP Motorsport cars fighting over 3rd and 4th place. Maras has just about remained in front of his teammate, but that is good clean action from the start.
Yeah, Mikey and Nitric Ash fighting as we come up towards turn 5. Mikey on the inside the Prema against the Invicta, and Nitric Ash going to make that move through 5, and he runs a bit wide though, and Mikey's going to get the move back on him, and Ginger Tiger will happily go past his teammate in the Invicta as Lionel Greasby and gets past Bjorn de Boer. As you expected though, Stevens for Spuds moved backwards in the field, same as Matty Rudd. Bruce has lost a couple of places, but to be expected on the hard compound as Shortbread has a 4/10 of a second lead at the front.
Great start for Shortbread, but the number 1 has got Ashtube all over his rear spoiler, the 2 MP Motorsport cars. Don't forget those guys running in 3rd in the Constructors' Championship. This is good points if they could stay where they are, but the top 8 drivers pulling away a little bit from Lionel Greasby, who has made some big gains. We'll have a look at how many places he's made up, but he's got Bjorn de Boer right with him as they go on to the start of lap number 2. Shortbread leads the way, and as Jordan was saying, the hard shod runners have been shuffled back a little bit. It's now down to Invicta and Mikey to see if they can get past those 2 in front.
Yeah, Mikey looking down the inside of Bruce, but thinking better of it. Probably a wise idea at this stage of the race. There's no point doing anything silly. Especially with Ginger Tiger behind. A little bit of ghosting going on there, not quite sure what happened, but Ginger Tiger goes round the outside of the Prema, and Mike just doesn't seem to have an answer for that one.
No, it's a really nice overtake that from the Invicta driver there, so he moves up to 13th. Now he's got to try and overtake Bruce. Those two have got history of Bruce and Ginger, so I'm looking forward to their fight on circuit.
Going round the outside of the line of Greasby through turn 5. That's a brilliant move from the Dams car.
I know for a fact Lionel Greasby will be furious about that overtake. That was fantastic. Bjorn de Boer's had a lightning start. Started 17th. He's up to 9th. 8 spots gained. He is on a mission, and he's right with his teammate, DXT Matty. So I don't think the Dams Lucas Oil driver was expecting his teammate to make up so many places so soon.
Mikey's got more company with Nitro Gash looking down the inside of him at turn 12, but again, no real room at the end for Nitro just yet. Obviously, with DRS, I believe, now going to be active.
Oh, is that? I think that's Ginger on the outside of Bruce. He's set it up through the penultimate corner. He's going around the outside of turn 14. The softer tyres, well utilised. There's a yellow flag behind us, and I think that's Nitro who's gone round. They're going to be 2, maybe 3 wide as they come down the main straight. Mikey trying to go for a move on the grass there, I thought for a moment. Just about hangs onto it. No harm done, but Ginger Tiger moves up another spot, and the 2 teammates at the front have just swapped places.
Yeah, it was like Eclipse Kirigon went round the outside of Maras through 3, and he's completed the move through 4. But this isn't helping the MP Motorsport, because now Reshka in the Campos is all over the back of them, and it's allowing the top 2 of Shortbread and Ashtube just to get away here.
Yeah, they'll be delighted, Shortbread and Ashtube, and that's Reshka on the inside of Maras, and Reshka just locking the rear right tyre, but then cuts up the inside. That's a cracking dive up the inside, just about giving each other racing room. We're on board of ARL, just trying to hang on to the back of these two. Reshka goes through. That was brave, but wow, great move.
It's fantastic racing from the pair of them, just about giving enough racing room to allow that to happen. A reminder of Ocon and Hamilton from Miami on the weekend. Obviously taking a few notes, but Maras under pressure. Oh, that was close. I think there's a little bit of a tap between ARL and Maras. Maras maybe not expecting ARL there.
It was.
Lost a couple of places.
Yeah, he's just having a few issues, is Maras. She's had a few issues, but she's going to have even more problems now as they go 3 wide down the main straight. We ride on board with DXT Matty, who's got the perfect view of all of this as they come towards turn 1. I thought that was going to be 4 wide. Ruddo's going to have to go all the way around the outside of Maras, who's still between everybody. Fair play, she's just about hanging on to it. Ruddo's going to make that move, I think, up the inside into turn 2. He breaks a little bit later. Maras on the outside line. We've got the 2 Dams cars side by side as well. Can Ruddo give racing room to go through? Yes, he does. And Ruddo, after those exchanges, puts himself at the front of that quartet.
Is a quintet.
Quintet,
now,
yeah, I've just saw Lionel Griesby, yeah.
Lionel Griesby there. Obviously, Beyond the Boa getting past his Dams teammate of DXT Matty as well, so he's moving more places up. And you might as well call it a pack of 6 because ARL was only half a second up the road from Ruddo, so yeah, yeah, everything's happening. Ashtube's only a couple of tenths behind Shortbread now, so the lead getting very interesting as we're heading closer and closer to the first set of pit stops, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty soon now, but Ashtube yet to score a race victory. Maras, she picks up a 3-second time penalty, so not ideal. That might shuffle her back, well, outside the top 10 at this race. Well, actually, no, just inside the top 10 with Lionel Griesby in 10th place. But Jordan's right, we're on following the fight for first place between Shortbread 224 and Ashtube 1212. DRS wide open. Is he going to get the move done? And that's DXT Matty in the pits.
Yeah, Matty into the pits on lap number 4, obviously. I believe, because we're running, I think, was it 50% distance, if I'm not correctly checked. Obviously, they only have to complete, I think, 3 laps before they can pit. Obviously, they do as many as they can on the soft compound tyre. So Hard's on to the Dams car, and he'll be looking to make up some time with the new tyres as ARL loses a place to Ruddo, but gets the switch back. But then loses the rear of the car with the on the curb, slightly off camber. Ruddo up into the top 5.
Yeah, good move that for Ruddo. Ashtube took the lead whilst Jordan was talking there as well, so we were following that. And Ashtube has got the lead of the Grand Prix. Reshka in 3rd as well. I think Reshka made a move on clips. So the MP Motorsport cars a couple of laps ago were 3rd and 4th. They're now 4th and 7th with a penalty dangling over YB Maras, who's lost touch with ARL. And at this point in the race, I think starting to struggle with those soft compound tyres, because Bjorn de Boer, that's not an overtaking place normally at turn 11.
Oh, almost still isn't, to be honest. Yeah, that was very brave from the pair of them. Maras might not be too happy with that, being pushed off the road that far, with a move being made, but we'll have to see what comes of that one. But Beyond the Bow, it's certainly not hanging around as Maris now dives into the pits. She's had enough of those soft compound tyres.
Yeah, she had a struggle there. So Maris into the pit lane. Wonder where Maris will feed out in relation to
Shortbread
DX.
to the outside of Ashtube into turn 1, but he goes deep, opens the door for Reshka. Reshka just about avoids him, and it's going to cost Reshka to run down to turn 2. But no, we've got obviously this leading
Quartet,
trio of cars,
yeah.
and it's going to become a quartet as Clips Kiri's closing in. Ruddo only 2.5 seconds behind as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on that gap as they fight in front.
Yeah, the championship leader knows exactly how to race, does Ruddo, and he's 2.5 seconds away. He'll be delighted with this. He'll be watching it from afar, hoping they fight a little bit more so he can close the gap. Just so you're aware, DXT Matty has emerged side by side with Maris. I'm not watching the fight, I'm just looking at the indicator, but Maris has been overtaken by Matty. So the undercut proving to be slightly powerful, but not as much as I expected it to be. But now it's down to those drivers on the hard tyres to get them fired up and see if they can close the gap to this lead group. Currently, Matty and Maris 34 seconds behind the leading quartet.
Yeah, obviously pit stops in F2, slower than F1. They've only got one person per corner to change the tyres. And on top of that, they don't have tyre blankets on the tyres. So when they come out, his tyres are absolutely stone cold as Bruce picks up 3 seconds penalties. I think the key thing there from Matty was when he pitted, he came out with about 5 seconds. He's still got about 5 seconds of gap to Anthony Hunt. So I think he just had fresh air just to work in, no worries at all about.
Here we go for the race lead. Shortbread goes through. Reshka's trying to go around the outside of Ashtube. He was leading into the exit of turn 1. They make contact. Do the 2 Rodin cars. And Rodin of Ashtube just about falls backwards. Reshka, of course, in the Campos car. But Reshka makes the move done. And he's up from 7th place on the grid. But Reshka's really coming alive in these last few laps. He's really found some performance. But this quartet's still together. I just thought for a moment they might have gone round, but they got away with it.
Yeah, good racing all around. Obviously a bit of side-by-side contact. It is racing, as they say. Rubbing is racing. As Anthony Hunt, the latest to pick up 3 seconds of penalties. Running out to 2.3, so that gap is slowly closing from him to the top quartet. But obviously the struggle he's going to have is that DRS down the main straight and down towards turn 2 will not be helping him, but he is closing the gap. Mikey only half a second away from Matty Rudd as well. However, I don't think it'll be long before Mikey pits.
No, he's been stuck behind the hard tyre drivers, hasn't he, Mikey, with Bruce and Matty Rudd earlier. So Mikey's 8 seconds away from his teammate, who's doing a good job in 6th at the moment. The top 4 still together, and I say that, but the guys in 3rd and 4th, Ashtube clips, and Ruddo carries on. So those 2 have gone into the pits trying to get an undercut, but Reshka is going to make a move for the race lead, Jordan.
And Ashtube picks up 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane as Reshka to the inside with DRS available. It's a pretty easy move into turn 1. And he'll get a second dose just to finish it off down to turn 2. Something I have noticed is the 2 ART cars of Shortbread and Matty Rudd both have the number 1 on. Just a small detail I've noticed, which is quite an interesting feature.
It's an interesting glitch, that, isn't it, really? Because that's not supposed to be the case. But never mind, not a problem. Lionel Griesby is in 4th place. Matty Rudd and his teammate, Mikey RK, that is Lionel Griesby's teammate, trying to find a way through, but not managing it. Ashtube has emerged in front of Clips Kiri, obviously, because they pitted, but they're only just a couple of seconds up the road from ARL, and DXT Matty has emerged back in front of Bjorn de Boer. So the undercut looking like it's starting to work its magic now. Maybe those drivers who pitted a couple laps earlier might have mistimed it a little bit.
Yeah, Bjorn de Boer did actually come out ahead of Matty, but he lost that place courtesy of the DRS as he came back round to the main straight. And obviously Bjorn de Boer is still probably trying to get a bit of tyre temperature in the hard tyres, and they won't be easy to get the temperature and get switched on.
No, it's going to be really challenging for them. Mikey still the closest fight on track as the 2 race leaders and Ruddo go into the pits, as does Lionel Griesby. So that'll be straightforward enough.
So it's interesting. Mikey doesn't pit, which I'm a bit surprised about, because there's enough time there to not really be held up by Lionel Griesby, I don't think.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just a little communication issue between the 2 of them, unless Mikey's trying to hang on for for a safety car. I mean, the racing so far has been lovely to watch as O'Stephen under pressure from IRC Bruce for third place. And Bruce goes around the outside at turn 1, but O'Stephen shuts the door. But that's a nice little switchback from Bruce, but he's going to be on the outside for turn 2. It'd take a brave man to go around the outside of O'Stephen, who throws it up the inside and keeps that position. And that was a big snap of oversteer then, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's well held that from Bruce. But you can go round the outside of 2. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, because obviously the wider you are in that corner, the less camber you actually have. That's sort of negative in comparison to how tight you are. The harsher the negative camber is. So it is plausible to go around the outside, but not quite on that deep a line. Yeah,
definitely not. But I tell you something, you can go around the outside at turn 3, because Ashtube has just got past Shortbread, who's still trying to fire his new hard tyres up and is struggling. And he's falling away from Ashtube, and Reshka's now closing the gap down to what was the original race leader when the last of the pit stops were made. So Reshka, he's got Ashtube with him. Don't forget, Ashtube's got that 10-second time penalty, so he'll be kicking himself for that. Then it's Shortbread, then it's Clips, then it's ARL. Anthony Hunt's in the mix, but he's yet to make a stop. And then Ruddo, Bjorn de Boer, TXT Matty, YB Barras. It's quite a lot of them all together on circuit as Mikey finally pits.
Yeah, it's great to watch. And the best part about this, there's such a mix of strategies in this. Obviously, you've got Anthony Hunt, who's come in the pits. I think that's early. And he speeds in the pit lane anyway, so that's not ideal for him. Slightly early on those hard tyres, maybe thinking with less fuel he can make the swaps last for half the race. Not quite sure on that tactic, but we'll see how that works out for him. But yeah, obviously the 3 cars at the front yet to pit. Reshka's only really 3 seconds behind because of the gap they built up at the start of this race. However, the compound difference will mean the tyre delta will be massive for Bruce O'Stephen and Matty Rudd come the end of this race. It'll be interesting to see just how much pace Anthony Hunt's got once he's fired up those softs, which should be probably 3/4 of a lap.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the difference really that you're watching, ladies and gentlemen. I've been flicking through the cars. We saw Clips getting past Shortbread there, who's still firing up those hard tyres, as Ashtube now picks up another 3 seconds. So his race going from time penalty wise bad to worse. So not ideal for him in the slightest. But what we're watching now is the convergence of a lot of cars all together on circuit. We saw, I think that was Ruddo in the background. So you can see 4th to 10th in one shot really. It's very close. But Reshka under pressure from Ashtube. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Sir Spud, who's kind of acted as a happy buffer for everybody else there, because it split that pack up a little bit, and Clips goes through, and I think Sir Spud is going to get overtaken by Shortbread and probably ARL as well, because he doesn't have any DRS.
Yeah, Spud's he's one of those guys, he always likes to go long on the set of harder tyres, and he's perfect. The nice thing is that he doesn't drive like he's going to let anyone through. He knows he's there, he's entitled to that space. As Clips Kiri trying to fend off Shortbread into turn 2. Yeah, so Spud drives like he's entitled to do that because he is. This is his full position. He's allowed to defend it, and it doesn't matter how annoyed anyone gets about it either.
I was going to say that was brave from Bjorn de Boer, but fair play to Spud. He actually gave the Dam's car space, and Bjorn goes through, and that's a little bit of contact. Spud's going to go round. No one's fault. That was just a racing incident, but sadly for Spud, he ends up doing a 360 and getting back on track, but he'll be a bit annoyed with how that transpired. But back at the front, still got the front 2 of O'Stephen and Matty Rudd, who's been quietly leading this race. We'll see where Matty Rudd feeds out when he makes his pit stop, because it'll be happening from any time really from now till lap 14 is probably the latest you want to go. And there you go, the race leader in the pits. O'Stephen carries on, so the front 2 are in. So that's 8 laps, 7 laps really, on those soft tyres for those guys. And Reshka gets the lead of the race. He's got Ashtube with him, and I think Jordan, he'll be happy with that, because he'd rather have Ashtube than anybody else with him right now.
Yeah, the only problem is now for Reshka is that Ashtube doesn't have really anything to lose, so as Shortbread and Clips Kiri side by side into turn 1 once again. Shortbread trying to go around the outside. brakes are not quite working, and ARL is there ready to pounce of anything. And Ruddo is there as well. Maras and Matty going side by side, a little bit of contact going into turn 2. And Maras should just about hold on to 8th place for now in the MP Motorsport car. But the battle for the last podium place right now is really hotting up, but they're going to have to be careful, because if they start losing a lot of time, Ashtube could start to think a bit more logically about this penalty he's got.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating for Ashtube because he's actually just been gapped by Reshka. It looks like they're almost out of DRS, which he kind of really needs to just try and hang on to as best as he can. But he's got, let's not forget, the 10-second time penalty for the stop, for the pit lane infringement, and his 3-second time penalty for track limits. So if we look at the leader gap at the minute, it will drop him 14 seconds behind, which puts him behind Ginger Tiger in 11th spot. So Ashtube, you're right, Jordan, he needs to think about this as we go for another round of, I'm going to call it quintet racing, from 3rd to 8th, well, 3rd to 7th place there all together, as Anthony Hunt picks up another time penalty.
As well. So down the main straight we head, Fitz Curie once again. He's defended well into turn 1. What's he going to do this time around? Shortbread's not going to try and make a move, not quite close enough. Maybe he's starting to think a bit more logically about the cars behind us. Matty down the inside, there's contact between him and Maras. Both go wide. Is anyone there to take advantage? No, Lion Grisby is far too back to take any advantage, but yeah, that wasn't really ideal between the two, and yeah, luckily nothing too bad happened, just a bit of robbing and carrying on.
Our camera angle that we had, there's a yellow flag, and I think that's Mikey, isn't it? Yeah, he's spun it round at turn 1. So, doesn't look like there's any damage on the car. I think he's just had a pretty innocuous spin in the Prema. But he's in 15th position. His teammates in the top 10. That's side by side for Nitrogash and FRL O'Stephen. Obviously, O'Stephen now on those soft tyres, looking very racy. Matty Rudd, the highest of the current soft tyre runners. Is O'Stephen going to try and overtake at the chicane? No, he thinks better of it, but you can see the grip levels we ride on. But that's a bit harsh for a time penalty. Don't know if you just saw that, Jordan, but that was... If I got a penalty for that, if I got, I'd be a bit furious, and Anthony Hunt is out of the race.
I did wonder why he came in and service pit stop, get another set of tyres. Obviously, he just wants to retire from the race, unfortunately. But back with the quintet, and Shortbread is now unable to draw alongside as Maris goes around the outside of Matty into turn 1. Although she runs a little bit wide, and DXT Matty says, "Thank you very much, I will go back through the open door." And all this is doing is allowing Lionel Greasby to close that gap and have another group of cars, this time a trio, though Stephen down the inside of Nitrogash completing that move and should have plenty of grip to drive away out of turn 1.
Yeah, that's plentiful for O'Stephen. Off he goes with the RS wide open. Maras picks up another set of penalties, so Lionel Greasby on for definitely a top 10 finish at this race. Matty Rudd is closing by about 2 seconds a lap though, so don't rule him out for a spot inside the top 10. That should be a great opportunity for him. And I think I was watching Shortbread before with clips, and I think, Jordan, what Shortbread is doing is he's trying not to lose too much time with ARL, Ruddo and Bjorn de Boer behind him. I think he's playing this one, and he might try and make his attack maybe with a lap to go, trying to work with clips for the time being.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, ultimately, I think with Shortbread, I think he's fast enough to maybe pull away from clips in the sort of middle part of the lap. I'd be looking to maybe just force that error from clips as here we go. No, again, doesn't bother doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you got ARL behind, but at some point you're just going to have to bite your bullet and just go. If you think you're quick enough, just go for it to then pull away afterwards.
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from Jordan. I think tactically maybe Shortbread's just thinking he doesn't want to keep fighting and ruin his tyres. That's the only thing I can think of it that Shortbread is trying to just stick with him for now, because they both know that Clips and Shortbread will both know they're both going to get a podium right now. They'll see Ashtube's penalty, They won't be thinking about that. They'll be thinking, can we maintain second and third and try and swap it? Well, Shortbread will want to swap it, obviously, for second place on the final lap. But is that delaying tactics beyond a ball right on the back of Ruddo there? He's just quietly gone about his business in this race, is Ruddo. He's joined the group, but he's hasn't needed to stand out. He's just picking off drivers when he needs to.
Yeah, and it's quite hard at this point. Always Bjorn has a little bit of a fake, tries to bait out the Fun Cup driver. But yeah, it's a bit of a hard sort of place to be for at this point in the race, because you're sort of in a DRS train, which sounds really weird in Hungary, but it's so hard to overtake on the rest of the lap that when you've got this line of DRS cars, it's actually really hard to overtake them for anyone. So it's kind of like you're sitting there waiting for a mistake to happen, or you've got to try and force an error from the driver in front of you without losing too much behind you.
Well, speaking of someone who's definitely going to go for it, Maras on the outside at turn 1, but isn't quite close enough. Liner Greasby just poking his nose up the inside. It's a good line actually from the Prema driver. He's going to be on the outside for turn 2, and I think Maras will she'll just force him wide, and sure enough, that's what she's trying to do. Liner Greasby though, trying to go all the way around the outside. He keeps his foot in, and she shuts the door, but that was nice racing between the two. But DXT Matty will be the one who appreciates that the most. It just gives him a little bit of respite. In the background, Ginger Tiger is catching them, but Matty Rudd is catching them hand over fist. He just took another 2.5 seconds out of them. By the time of the next lap, he'll be right there.
Yeah, I mean, is this potentially showing, obviously, Liner Greasby, one of the later stoppers from the softs to the hards. He's got a 3-lap delta over Maris and a 4-lap delta over Matty, so it's unsurprising that he's going to have that slight advantage with grip going through some of the corners. I think it's in Kimi Antonelli's car there. Oh, that's a bit wide from Maris.
Gets away with it, no harm done. The gap at the front, by the way, I know Reshka and Ashtube are fighting somewhat with a little bit of hands tie behind their backs because of Ashtube's penalty, but that's still quite close. I'm going to cut forward briefly just to see if Shortbread is any closer to Clips, and the answer to that question is a firm no. So let's skip back to Matty Maras and Liner Greasby, and Maras almost losing DRS now. Starting to struggle again with the tyres.
Yeah, I remember. So I don't know whether it's potentially that Maris has picked a slightly quicker setup in a straight line, maybe just scrubbing the tyres through the corners. But yeah, she's definitely struggling, starting to struggle as the race wears on. Ginger Tiger is about to make this a quartet of cars with Matty Rudd in possibly a lap or two's tunnel on the final lap, making it another quintet.
Yeah, so we've got 2 groups of 5. For those that can do some good maths in the chat area, that's 10. Hunty's saying he had to give up. He was a bit frustrated with the penalties that he got. Well, that happens, Anthony. We'll see you in for the sprint. Back in the fight for what is the... Oh, Bjorn de Boer picks up a time penalty, and that's going to pretty much cement his 7th place. Unless he decides to get brave, I don't think he's going to move from that 7th place, even if he does manage an overtake.
Yeah, I say, even if he overtakes Reynolds and he's stuck in his DRS train for the rest of the race, he won't get away with it. That's for certain. So he's had a block, I think, that from Matty into the penultimate corner. Liner Greasby looking at an alternative line, and I like this line from Liner Greasby. Trying to dive in late, get the throttle on early, and that's going to be a good line, good traction. Pick up some slipstream from Matty to complete the move. The only thing now is whether Maris can be later on the brakes, which I think she was, but she just runs by. Oh, that's a big slide. Someone pulled the handbrake as Ginger Tiger goes past.
Beautifully held by Maras, but that's cost her, and she's going to slip down to 11th place, and she's going to be in the clutches of Matty Rudd now, whose soft tyres, they'll be a little bit worn at this point, to be honest with you, but they're probably a little bit better than what Maras's 12-lap-old hard tyres. You can see Maras struggling through turn 4 there. You can see that the struggles are real in that car. But like you say, Liner Greasby up to 9th, looking to put pressure on DXT Matty for 8th place. So this could be a really good return for the Prema man. Further up, we've still got this quintet.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, the even worse for Maris, though I say that,
Oh
was
yeah.
she had Matty Martins on the way through, but he decided to pick up the penalty. Although I think Maris might have a little bit more. Should I double check? Yeah,
Yeah.
Maris has got 6 seconds. But what that does do is mean that Matty Rudd's plan of trying to get through the pack on maybe his last lap is going to be futile.
Yeah, it's going to be scuppered, isn't it? We are on the final lap of the race. There's been so much action for us to cover here in the F2 Mini League. Shortbread is not close enough to the back of Clips Kiri, and if he wanted to get that, what would be net second place, oh, as he tries but can't get close enough, and as that line agrees to be through, I think it is, isn't it?
Around the outside of DXT Matty in turn 1, and will drive away with DRS. 8th place should really be cemented, barring any mistakes.
Yeah, good drive that from Lion Agreesby. But it is Clips Kiri holding on to 3rd place, but Reshka is on his way. And this is a surprise to say he's going to be the first driver this season to get a 2nd victory. He's had 1 sprint at Baku. He's going to get his first feature race before he doesn't put a foot wrong from here on in.
Yeah, it's been a good drive from the Campos driver of Reshka. Obviously, his teammate not here tonight, unfortunately. So it's not going to be too helpful for the teams, although saying that, a lot of the cars in this top 10, I think it's only the Dams cars that are going to be scoring double points, as obviously Matty Rudd is not going to finish in 10th with his 3-second penalty.
No, absolutely true. There's lots of action fighting on further back, but Reshka won't care about any of it because he takes the feature race victory here at the Hungaroring. It'll be Clips Kiri in 2nd with Shortbread in 3rd place. A great fight between those guys there. ARL in 4th, Rodo 5th, beyond the ball with his penalty. Ashtube ends up 7th. And then a bit further back, Lion Creasby is going to hang on to this other quintet of cars. He gets 8th, Matty 9th, Ginger up to 10th, Matty Rudd 11th. Maras will start from pole position for the sprint.
Yeah, that's good news for Maris, and I'm going to correct myself because I just remembered it's the top 12 that scored in IRL. So you've got MP, ART, Downs, and obviously Roden all scoring double points for their teams, which is good news for them. Yeah, some good racing. I mean, and I think what we've just learned there is that the soft tyres in a sprint race, maybe for next week, maybe it's better to start on those soft tyres and build yourself the gaps and try and race, because they made very little impact in reality to what we were expecting.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of drivers saying in the chat room about it was quite difficult to overtake. Some great racing, which we did see. We're watching Spud. He's going to be the last driver to cross the finish line in the Trident car. He's gone in for another pit stop and got a fresh set of soft tyres on, and it comes across the line driving the number 23, the car driven by Stanek during the 24 season. Driver of the day, I'm going to imagine it's going to be Underbore, and there it is. Up from 17th to finish 7th. Still great drive from Beyond the Ball, but I think he'll be a bit frustrated about his penalty.
Yeah, although to be fair, considering he came from the back of the pack, and he hasn't really cost him anything. I think he won't be too upset with that.
Yeah, he won't be, but the drivers are celebrating on the podium there. The happiest man being Reshka and Campos. No XL Jamie this evening, so it is just Reshka scoring points for the Campos team. Clips and Shortbread also getting some podium placings there. They'll be pleased with that. So hopefully we'll skip over to the feature race results. There we are. So Jordan, take us through it very quickly.
So we got Reshka taking the win from Clips Kiri in 2nd, Shortbread running at the podium, ARL 4th, Rodo 5th, Beyond Abera in 6th, Ashtube finishes 7th after penalties, Lionel Greasby in 8th, DXT Matty 9th, Ginger Tiger 10th, Matty Rudd 11th, Maris is in 12th, the final point scorer, who's Stephen 13th, Nitric Ash, Mikey, Bruce, Sir Spud, and Anthony Hunt. The last of the cars he didn't finish.
Well, we get ourselves ready then for the sprint race. Let's hope we've got no issues this evening. for when we're setting up the sprint. We'll see whether or not the theory that we have does impact the session. If it does, there will be a slight change to the sprint format, and we'll detail what that is. But we'll wait and see. We do have a second backup in play here. Spud's saying, Jordan, that he pitted to get rid of the 10-second penalty that he had, which I didn't pick up on the stream, but I think he might have mentioned it.
Yes, yeah, he did pick up that penalty on his first pit stop, and obviously decided he didn't want to carry it with him. Possibly would have given him the same result either way. And to be fair, it does give you a bit of extra practice in case you need to pit in the sprint. Just double clarifying exactly how late you can break into the pits with these cars.
Yeah. So just a reminder for the sprint, we will be using the feature race settings. Let me just double check because Mikey has just contacted me. So yeah, we will be using the mandatory pit stop for the sprint. So it'll be a 13-lap race, which works out quite nicely with the actual distance that a sprint race would be, which is kind of convenient how EA have set that up. But Jordan, whilst we're talking during the stream, during this little down period, obviously the news coming out of EA Sports and Codemasters has been a little bit concerning for the racing community. We know obviously about EA Sports WRC and the sad news that that's not continuing on, but it does put a bit of pressure on F125, doesn't it? Because it does seem as if Codemasters is downsizing. Does this mean that potentially F125 could be the last game in this iteration? Because it could be going that way by the seams of it.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, EA unfortunately laying off hundreds of jobs. Unfortunately, Codemasters I think ended up being a big portion of that, which is a massive shame. As you touched on, WRC, which pretty much everyone knows now, is one of my that's my sort of main motorsport. I come in and do a bit of circuit racing as well. So for us in the rallying side, it's a massive blow to us in terms of what we're hoping for in the future from Codemasters, because it's a brilliant title. We're looking forward to it getting better and better with future sort of engines. But in terms of F1, the F125 has now got a lot of pressure. I mean, as we know, at present it's the final game in the license period that EA have for F1. So even that could end it effectively before even EA has a chance to go, we're not going to develop anymore. They're going to have to do a really good job. I think if they do a good enough job with F125 and they get the license again, I think they will probably continue, because as we know, in comparison to something like WRC, F1 has a bigger sort of genuine market.
Yeah.
So obviously for EA, it's quite good, a good moneymaker, as we know. Rallying, it's still massive. I mean, we see thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people doing it, but it is slightly more niche. So yeah, I think a lot of pressure on F125 to get it right, to make sure EA actually retain the license to start with.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward time, really, to be honest with you, for sim fans in terms of racing, because you know arguably the two most popular motorsports. I was going to say two most popular. You'd include GT3 as probably the third most popular motorsport in terms of four wheels, not including motorbikes here. But you know, the future of the series, who knows where it's going to go? If you know another developer does pick up F125, it'll be the first time we've had a different developer since effectively PlayStation Studios, who did the games before Codemasters when they took over with, I mean, F1 2009 technically was their game, but it's kind of outsourced. So who knows what's going to happen? I mean, there is the recent announcement, for those that don't know, this is obviously as part of Invictus Racing League. You know, we're not being inactive as the race is due to start in a moment. But we're not being inactive here. There have been a few sim racing title updates. We've got finally a proper look at Project Motor Racing. Definitely something that IRL is going to look at in terms of having a league. But we also want to keep going on with F1. You know, that's going to be the prime series. So let's, fingers crossed, hope we get some news about F1 26 in the not so distant future, eh, George?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's going to come down to when F1 25 releases, and hopefully the license will be given again, and the game will be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, and if EA lose it, hopefully another developer would get the license very quickly for 26, because it's going to be great to have 22 car grids again.
Yeah, that's what we're after. That is absolutely what we're after. We've got a wet race, and it's full wets.
Yeah.
And so Spud has just said in the comments, yes.
I'm going to say, Spud, did your weatherman predict this for you? Or is this yet another surprise from your weather camp? Be interesting to know, but this makes things very interesting. I mean, I'm assuming, Jack, obviously park Fermi rules lifted, so they're going to be able to pick a set of more suited to the wet weather. So we're not going to have cars spinning left, right, and centre because they're running maybe lesser wing than they should be.
And the other thing as well that people need to recognise here is that we still do have to make a pit stop in F2. Because that's we are running according to the game, we're running a feature race. So the drivers, even if it was wet conditions, would still have to make a pit stop.
Not in the wet, as far as I'm concerned. I believe F2 still follow the same rules.
Really?
As F1.
I've heard otherwise, yeah. Well, we'll see what the game tells us. We're going to have a fascinating set of strategies here if some people think they have to pit and others don't. We'll have to have a little check of that just to check our fact here, ladies and gentlemen.
No, if an F2 feature race is declared wet, drivers do not have to pit for a compulsory tyre change.
Okay, let's get that comment in for the drivers then.
A little bit like F1, it's only when they start on the dry compound tyre they have to use both compounds. But, I mean, if anyone wants to start on the slicks, be my guest.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I'm just correcting my mistake in the F2 drivers room, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, if I'm a little bit quiet, that's on me. But yeah, I mean, we're looking before, Jordan, obviously, with the reverse grid, we're going to have Maras and Matty Rudd on the front row. I mean, that's a lightning row one for the grid. Then we're going to have Ginger Tiger and DXT Matty on row 2. Liner Greasby and Ash Tube row 3. Bjorn de Boer and Ruddo row 4. ARL and Shortbread row 5. Clips, Reshka row 6. And then it'll obviously be O'Steven, Nitro, Mikey, IRC, Bruce, so Spud and Anthony Hunt. But I think we'll have more opportunities for overtaking because with it being in the wet weather, no DRS trains are going to form. It'll come down to ability. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the start of this race is going to be, well, I hope it's not carnage, but I think we're going to see a lot of interesting moves into turn 1.
So Spud's just said, shush, I could win if no one pits. Yeah, Mikey has said that we're due to start any moment now. He said that the timing is 20:53 and we'll get the race underway. So hopefully when we go to the grid, which no one has said in the comments from what me and Jordan can see, no one has said they're in the wrong place. So all that needs to happen now is the race get underway and we'll have done a glitch-free race. Formation lap starts now, and everyone is in the place they need to be. And Maras will lead us away. And actually this time, Jordan, thankfully, does say number 11 on the front of the car. So Must have been a little visual, although it was the ART card, wasn't it, you were saying?
So
Matty Rudd's,
number 1.
yeah, which would be Victor Martins.
Shortbread's got number 1. Which is Zach O'Sullivan's car.
Yes, it is.
Was definitely number 2 last year. I think I've also found A.R. Rao's number 5 when he should be, I believe, number 6, because number 5 was Zane Maloney in the Sauber colours, which is the car that Ash Tube is in.
That is interesting. It was Zach O'Sullivan's car. It ended up being Luke Browning's at the end of the season because O'Sullivan ran out of money funding wise, so he couldn't carry on, sadly, in that car. So Luke Browning was the driver who raced at 12, 13 and race number 14 of the championship. It was obviously Luke Browning very competitive in single seaters, and in GB3 he raced as well, so Luke Browning certainly knew how to drive that car. As you can see on the Pirelli timing tower on the left hand side of your screen, you can see everyone is on the blue Pirelli 18-inch wet weather tyre. I'm surprised no one's gambled, Jordan, and gone for intermediates.
I've got a funny feeling.
Have we got a visual glitch out there?
I've got a funny feeling that F2 might not have inters.
No, I don't think they do they?
I'm going to Google it.
I think you should have a little research. We've got Anthony Hunt coming around turn number 12 as Jordan consults with the, how would they say, the broadcasting team about the regulations for the F2 cars. I think you're right, Jordan. I think
they don't. They just have the full wet tyre. So, which will make this interesting if, by some magic, this dries up. As an AIX car, Bruce decided to get those tyres really warm.
Fantastic.
Several drivers not able to park in their grid slot. Luckily,
Wonderful.
They don't get penalised for it.
So the green flag flies for the second race of the evening for the sprint. Who makes the best start? And the race is live. It's a good reaction time from Matty Rudd, but a lot of wheel spin from him. Doesn't get the car a little where it needs to be. There's a car off in the road. I think Lion agrees me and Ginger Tiger have made contact. They have. But into turn 1, it is Maras who leads them in through to turn 1. Bit of contact with Matty Rudd, and I think that was Ash Tube. They're going to be 3 wide in the background. Ruddo and Ash Tube all together sideways. We got Reshka off the road. You got IRC Bruce having a great start going around the outside of everybody. But that just about is going to hold on Reshke on the inside line of ARL. He's up to 8th. What a start for him, but he's going to get fought back from the ARL of ARL in 8th position. They're going to be side by side towards turn number 4. Reshke's on the inside. ARL's trying to hold it on the curbs. They're still together as they approach turn 5. And am I going to get the chance to have a breather and pass it over to Jordan? We'll see in a moment, because ARL's had a little bit of a slide. Reshke around the outside on the brakes into the chicane they go. They're still side by side. ARL locks the wheels and a little bit of a slip over the curb. Jordan, I can't breathe.
Shade of me and Bruce in a couple of seasons ago in the F1. Fantastic racing from the start. I think Line agrees with Ginger Tiger, so coming together. I didn't quite see exactly what happened, but I'm going to guess that one of them maybe just spun the tyres up and the car decided to go one way that they didn't want it to go. Beyond a bow, on the back of Matty, they were 3/10. Maris has made a good start along with Matty Rudd, so they're going to be able to control this race, and obviously with no pit stop required, these wets should really do the whole 13 laps as O'Stevens started closing on the high tech of Anthony Hunt, but obviously not quite close enough yet for a move. The question is now, I think we're going to see the next lap or two, everyone just maybe simmering down a little bit, just trying to see what sort of grip they've got before they're starting to launch some hopefully epic moves during this sprint race.
Yeah, let's hope they do. I'm just watching a little bit further back who's got damage. I think Sir Spud has got away with it. I'm just looking at Lionel Griesby's car. Yeah, he's got front wing damage, as has Ginger. Yeah, so that I did see them both go into the wall. I just didn't know how hard they connected with it. Sadly, that might just ruin their races. They're going to have to hope for a safety car if they manage to get one. It's not impossible, but Maris 1.2 to the good, but Matty Rudd sliding the car through turn 4, and that gap, the two dams cars have they've bridged the dam, and it's a lot closer than that. It's more like a small stream. It's exceptionally tight, And I think Bjorn de Boer's the faster Dams car at the minute, and I'm just wondering if I don't know if there's going to be any team orders at play here, because it is a mini F2 League Championship, but Bjorn de Boer might be on the radio saying, come on, I've got the faster car here at this moment in time. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to treat it like it's proper F2, they're all in it for themselves. They all didn't pay for their seats necessarily, but if you're going to simulate it, they've all paid for their seats in F2, even though the team might ask them. Very good chance they'll just ignore the team order. But I must admit, Reshka is just struggling a little bit with the front end of his Campos, and it's almost allowing ARL a chance at the moment. He's just understeering quite a lot in Hajar's car. And you can just see he's just trying to take different lines, trying to get air onto the front wing to get some form of turning.
Yeah, he had a huge slide out of turn 11 as well, so clearly that car is all over the shop at the moment with too much understeer and a fair amount of oversteer. That's Bjorn de Boer trying to go around the outside of his teammate, no room there. Yellow flag.
Clips Kiri.
Safety car.
And good move from Clips Kiri. He took full advantage of the two Dams cars battling there. The door opened and Clips Kiri managed to nip through just in time before the safety car got called. And interesting, Liner Griesby has pitted to change that front wing. A good call from the Prema team to get him in, get that nose changed. I think Ginger Tiger's completely lost his front wing.
So Ginger Tiger is the cause of the safety car. So whilst you were brilliantly watching the fight with Clips and Bjorn de Boer, I noticed that Ginger had spun out of the final corner by, I don't think Liner Griesby was with him, but he wouldn't have been actually because he was in the pits. So Ginger has completely broken his front wing. So rather brilliantly, Jordan, he's managed to set his own strategy where he's broken his front wing, got a safety car out, then get back to the back.
Yeah.
He didn't mean it, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't as if... not insinuating that at all.
No. I mean, it's tricky conditions out there in the wet, and obviously, as we know with the F2 cars, they've obviously only got 6 gears. So it's not, you can't short shift in the same manner as the F1 cars. You can't just bang it up the gears and gain the traction. You do actually have to sort of feather the throttle just a little bit before you can then change up the gear to gain that traction. Because otherwise you bog the car down, and even that can, with the torque, can just make it spin just from the torque trying to be delivered from the gearbox. The question is, will anyone come in for a fresh set of wet tyres?
I think Sir Spud would, because he's got a broken front... It looks like he's got a broken front wing, but I could be wrong. But it does look like he has damage. I might be... Yeah, he's going in. I thought he would. So, from what I saw before, it looked like he had a broken front wing, but from that angle, it looked like perfectly fine. So I don't know if that's a visual glitch. Ginger will naturally come in, and sure enough, in he comes to the pits. Let's just hope he doesn't understeer off the road. No, he doesn't.
See, I'm a little bit surprised that Mikey hasn't come in, because with Sir Spud having to come in, if I was Mikey, I'd be like, right, I'm not going to lose track position here. Let's come in, get another set of wets on, and have that sort of 2.5 lap extra bit of grip on the car. Because as we've seen before in the F1 cars, I don't know if it's the same sort of way in the F2, I haven't driven them really at all, or enough / at all. To understand how they work in the wet, but certainly in the F1 cars, even a 2-lap delta on the wet compound tyres and the inters, the wets, can be a massive difference, because if you're spinning the wheels a lot, you're going to wear the tyres a lot.
Yeah, they can do. I think they would simulate similarly because of the fact that they are the same tyres that the F1 drivers use. Obviously, those 18-inch Pirelli tyres, so they would make a difference, and I think it would be beneficial for Mikey to have done that. But the flip side being is, did Mikey know, like we knew, that Spud had damage? You never know, he might not have been aware of that. So, but nevertheless, no harm done. He's not lost any places from not pitting. He's not on the wrong strategy either. It still looks like it's pretty wet out there, but looking at the track surface, that looks like intermediate weather if it was an F1 car. You know, can it dry up quickly enough for dries by the end? I doubt it, but there's always that little bit of excitement about what could be. The next big question is, will 16th, 17th and 18th, will they catch the safety car?
I think they should do that. The safety car's been out for a lap, 2 lap, second lap this is now, so...
First lap it's picked up the cars though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. That'll be interesting to know how the game calculates that. if you know what I mean, because it's the second lap that the drivers have been out, but it's the first lap now that the safety car's going on to its second lap with the cars. So we'll have to see what it does there, whether it decides to come in on this lap. We know that Spud will definitely catch the safety car, and Line agrees we should do.
Yeah, I think they will all, because they're going to be doing quite slow, and obviously down that main straight, the guys in the back, they're going to be doing over 100 mile an hour to catch up. One thing I've always wanted in F1 and F2 is similar to British touring cars. I think you know exactly where I'm going to go with this, Jack. Is with the safety car, adding on some laps at the end.
Yeah, I mean it'd be good for it to do that, but I think it's within the regulations, isn't it? That they won't, you know, they deliberately count down, because I think there was a rule regulation after the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix that said that races have to be contained within a certain hours amount of percentage, but then it got updated again to say specific amount of kilometres / miles, so they can't extend it. So I agree with you. I wish they would add laps on, but we aren't in control of the FIA, sadly, which is a bit frustrating. But never mind. Maras is trying to get the safety car door up.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Maybe she was looking quick before, and maybe she just wants to get on with it, try and get Matty Rudd at the restart. And the safety car's in this lap, so Ginger might just about make it to the end of that train, because they're going to really slow up now. Although I haven't said that, Maris isn't slowing down as much as I thought.
No, and she's got to make sure that
she is
before
now.
She goes,
yeah,
that safety car is in the pit lane.
Ginger's on the back. So all 18 cars are together. The safety car peels into the pits, but because of the way that the yellow flag system works here, she can't go. A little bit of oversteer on the final corner, and for Matty Rudd, and we are racing again for lap number 6 of the sprint. Off we go towards turn 1. It's actually a decent restart for Maras in the end. She's going to be under a little bit of pressure from Matty Rudd, but not too much. Further back in the field, it looks like we've got a side-by-side. That's Shortbread and ARL. Shortbread to the outside line at turn 1. Tries to hang it all the way around the outside. Gets good traction. It's going to be on the inside for turn number 2. We're on board with ARL, and I think this is going to be a move complete before we get to turn 2. And I said that, but ARL, fair play to ARL, is hanging it as best as he can. A little bit of oversteer though. Shortbread up into 9th place.
Yeah, ARL just needed to let the car roll just a little bit longer around the outside. He ended up, I think, just tapping the brakes a little bit earlier than he probably would have wanted to try and get that move around the outside done. But otherwise, it's a clean getaway from everyone, which is fantastic to see. Obviously, in the wet conditions, especially, because it's so easy to miss your braking point into turn 1 and do a Valtteri Bottas in years gone by.
Yeah, absolutely, it really is. And Matty Rudd just having a big moment on the curb, but DXT Matty under massive pressure now from Clips Kiri. And now Clips has made an excellent fist of this in the sprint. Started 11th, is up to 4th, up 7 places. And the MP Motorsport driver wants to get up with his teammates, but this queue of cars, it's do we have a word for 10 cars together? We've got a sextet for 6 and a septet for 7, but I don't know what it is for 10, but we've got 10 together, and who was that wide?
I don't know who's wide, but I know Ginger Tiger nearly lost the back end through the penultimate corner. And there's a bit of a battle here between Spud, Mikey, Lina Greasby and Ginger Tiger, this quartet. Mikey actually did lose a place to Sir Spud in that previous lap, and he's almost going to the back of him.
Just completely got the braking wrong. His teammate is going to go through. Reshka and Shortbread, yeah.
Reshka, I think that Shortbread making a move.
Yeah.
On the inside. Yeah, it is. Side by side through turn 3. That is brave in wet weather. They're still side by side up towards 4. I think Reshka's might have to try and back out of this. Yes, he does. He thinks better of it. Lives to fight another day, but ARL looking to go around the outside and not quite far enough alongside to make that one work. Ruddo is pressurising Bjorn de Burger, who's pressurising Clips Kiri, with DXT Matty at the head of that train. He's not far behind Matty Rudd, but he's far enough that he's unable to do anything about it.
Yeah, he's got to attack and defend, hasn't he? at the moment, so it's really, really challenging for DXT Matty to make any sort of impression on the ART in front of him. I always grimace when cars go rear right tyre to front left in the wet, because there's always the opportunity for a monumental shunt, but these two Dams cars in the thick of the action. Clips has left the door open a little bit at the penultimate corner, but gets away with that. But the more these two fight, well, I say these 3, 4, 5, 6, a million cars together fight, Matty Rudd's going to clear off into the distance, as is Maras. They're going to be loving this at the back. And I noticed before everyone go into the wetter part of the track, because I'll be honest, Jordan, I don't think it's dry tyres yet, but another lap or two.
It's not dry tyres. I think I'd definitely be looking at Inters right now if I was in an F1 car. And we've got all sorts going on between Ashtube, Shortbread suddenly coming alive in this race, in this weather, down the inside at turn 2, and I don't think Ashtube's really going to have much to answer for that one.
No, Ruddo not having the best exit though as he came off turn 3, and that just kind of thwarted his progress. Reshka trying to make a move, but he's not going to do that. Every time I see Shortbread's car, I always think of Marcus Ericsson in the 2015 Sauber, the blue car with the yellow helmet, but he's not driving like Marcus Ericsson at all. Ruddo struggling with traction on the exit of 5. Ashtube into the back of Shortbread. Fortunately, nobody goes around.
No visual damage, but Reshka looking to the inside through turn 8, 9 and 10. The door slams her as he wasn't alongside enough to warrant the space. There's also a little update just by saying there was no damage on his car. He purely just pitted for new sets of wets, which I think is not a bad plan.
Interesting.
And we have missed. Ginger Tiger has got past Mikey in the process. I think Mikey's struggling in these conditions.
Yeah, this fight is almost impossible to keep a track of, isn't it? Because every single car, no matter where you look, is looking for some form of overtake. We've got 5 laps to go when Maras crosses the line, and Maras has got a 3-second gap at the front, and Matty Rudd's somewhere. He's made a big mistake, because the other Matty, 22, is going to be on the outside at turn 1. Matty Rudd defends the inside line into the braking zone at turn 1, but that's a little bit too cautious. A touch of oversteer for Matty 22 means Matty Rudd can fight another day for second place, but it's all Constantina and up. Here comes Klipskiri. That's the opportunity he was looking for at the inside. Wheel-to-wheel contact. Is he going to solidify third place? It's been looking for ages. Yes is the answer to that question. And DXT Matty, what looked like second, is going to fall further back. Ruddo on the outside at turn 4. Surely not. What a move by Ruddo, 24.
And here comes Shortbread down the inside of Beyond the Boa through turn 5. He's opened the door, and Shortbread's taken the invitation. Very opportunistic from the ART. They're still side by side through the chicane. Beyond the Boa trying to hold on for 6th place right now. And he's going to do it. And here comes Ashtu down the inside. One of Reshka's favourite overtaking places tonight, I think. Again, a bit like collision between him and Reshka. It was inevitable through there with the amount of cars and how close they were. Luckily, they've gotten away with, I think, Reshka maybe with a bit of front ring damage. Klipskiri has overtaken Matty Rudd down into turn 12. It's all kicking off the old lap number 9 as the conditions deteriorate for the tyres. And the interesting thing, Mikey RK13 on the soft compound.
I don't blame him, because I think it is, to be honest, it's dry enough for slicks. I really do. I just think the amount of time that the drivers will lose.
Between Ruddo, Shortbread, last corner.
That's never going to work. I don't know how they survived that then, but that was never going to work. I don't know how.
Noticed Beyond the Boa 5th, DXT Matty 5th. The 2 Dams cars have moved up as well. It is absolutely all kicking off.
That was never going to work. 3 wide. They're all making contact with one another. ARL's trying to go through in the road and on the outside. They've almost 4 wide for a moment, but Ruddo moves his way into 5th. ARL around the outside of Shortbread. Can he hold on? I'm riding on board with DXT Matty, who's got pound seat view for this, and he just can't solidify it. Can DXT Matty? He drops to 8th, beyond the port up to 3rd.
Yeah, on the entry to turn number 4 around the outside of Matty Rudd. These conditions have great effect on the racing, as the 2 MP Motorsports looking to secure a sprint race 1-2 at the moment.
15 points Mikey, going their way.
Mikey is not catching anyone in front, so those soft tyres it was a nice gamble because he was in last place anyway, but it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work for him. There's just a bit too many damp patches out there. It could be 1 or 2 laps away from slicks, to be honest. I thought it trying to
very sideways. Going to have Reshka all over him now as we head down towards turn 12.
Ruddo seeking the wetter part of the circuit there just to keep those wet tyres cool. I imagine now that the wet tyre is going to be really burning up, and that's Nitro with Reshka. Contact, broken front wing for Reshka. That's his sprint race done. He's not going to be gaining any points from that. Meanwhile, at the height of the and Nitro's gone again with Bruce, I think. And I think that's Anthony Hunt as well. Lionel Griesby says thank you very much and moves up to 12. But beyond the ball, new fastest lap of the race, and there's a fight on for second, Jordan. It's all kicking off everywhere. Clips defending on the
3 wide behind them as well.
Where do you look? Where do you look? Ruddo up to 4th. Shortbread on the inside of Matty Rudd goes past his teammate. ARL down to 6th place. So ARL was 5th, then 6th, now 7th, then 6th again. Beyond the ball's got past Clips Kiri. And that's going to be... No!
Beyond the Bower. No, it wasn't quite clear. Somehow holds on, but he wasn't quite clear enough to shut that door. We've got a yellow flag. It's Matty Rudd. He's off at turn 3.
It's all...
Going again.
It was inevitable, wasn't it? There was about 1 million cars fighting over one piece of tarmac, and it's all getting a bit personal now. Shortbread all over the back of Ruddo for 4th position, as we still got 2 laps to go after this, ladies and gentlemen. We're nowhere near finished, but at the front serenely, YB Maras on a way to a race victory. But having said that, anything can happen because beyond the ball's catching her. Who knows what the next 9 miles are going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Bruce is coming to get some soft tyres on. He's looking to steal away the fastest lap of the race, I think. He won't get the point, but he can certainly take it away from Beyond the Boer. He will probably help his teammate of Ruddo by doing so. Wow. Is there a fastest lap point in the sprint? I can't remember anymore.
No, there won't be a fast. It's all just all over the shop. But Beyond the Boer has taken a second out of Maras on this lap. Ashtube in the pits. I mean,
surprised at this. Why is he coming in the pits on the penultimate lap, or the 2 laps to go? He's not going to make up 30 seconds.
No. Shortbread on the outside of Ruddo for 4th place. Shortbread trying to make a move, but he can't get the traction. Out of turn 1, all of the drivers fighting the overstay at Matty Rudd has retired in the pits. I thought he'd crashed then, but he hadn't, thankfully. He's retired in the pit lane. He's going to be submitting some reports, no doubt about it. But Shortbread is plastered to the rear diffuser of the AIX racing car in front of him. He can't find a way through at turn 4, but Shortbread, more points he's trying to gain for the championship fight. He's in prime position. He's looking very quick.
Yeah, the way he's going. A big moment for Ruddo, and somehow holds position. I was about to say that the way Shortbread's going, he's going to be like Antonio Felix da Costa at Monza in the F3 cars, practically bum drafting Ruddo down the straights. Yeah, Beyond the Bow has managed to clear by a second here as well, so he's got. I don't quite think he's going to catch Maras, but he's going to give it a very good go.
Oh, another. The drivers are absolutely fighting for their car control as best as they possibly can. They're all sliding all over the track. I can't stress to you, everybody, how difficult these conditions are now. You know, they're on effectively what looks to me a slick race circuit on the racing line. You know, and they're trying to hold on to tyres that are overheating with this final lap coming up. Can Maras, off the top of my head, not only be the first ever race victory for her in IRL, but be the first woman ever to win in IRL, Jordan? Because I don't think it's ever happened before.
I think we have had one before. I'm trying to remember what her name is. She used to be Ghost.
Yes, I remember now. But as that's going on, Shortbread and Ruddo, sorry to interject, Jordan, have finally swapped places. Shortbread has put all of the pressure on Ruddo and has made it into 4th place. ARL is trying to pick up the pieces too, but ARL's been sliding all over the road and does so through turn 3, I mean.
I will say these conditions will suit anyone who's had any experience in rallying games, as Anthony Hunt and Ginger Tiger go side by side, just purely because this is all about adapting to the grip you don't have at times. And you know, that massive car control. We've got a yellow flag, I think that's Bruce. has gone off with those
slick tyres.
The problem, even though the racing line looks pretty dry, if you step off of it, it's very much wet. As I think Reshka might have just got past Dixie.
Reshka went
over to
right.
You anyway, Jack, because I think Maris is coming to the final sector.
Reshka went right off the chicane. There's cars off everywhere. It has been the greatest demonstration of why you should come and join us at Invictus Racing League this race. It has had it all. Maras, I know, kicking up the car. Don't be doing that on your looking to your first race victory, Maras. One corner to go. Keep it nice and steady. YB Maras, take a bow. She wins the sprint race here at the Hungary Ring. Bjorn de Boer is second. Clips third in the end. Shortbread fourth with Ruddo and ARL taking the final points in the sprint. Reshka, DXT, Matty, 7th and 8th. Can Lion Agreesby get past FRLO Steve into the line? No is the answer, but still finishes in the top 10. So Spud drops all the way down thanks to a 10-second time penalty. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, take a deep breath, because what a race that was.
Yeah, definitely a deep breath. I'm not sure. I think Bruce is just slowly making his way to the line. Probably lost all sorts of confidence in those tyres, same as the likes of Mikey. Probably Astube as well as Astube.
Wow.
If you want to see what an F2 car is like in very tricky conditions, like a Ford Escort Mark II in the woods, I thought he went round, and he did almost go around Astube. I don't know if this is just him having a little bit of fun here at the end. You know, he made a massive mistake by pitting. Let's face it. But as he
crashes across the finish line. I see Bruce. Will he put the slides on? Yes, there he goes. A little slide through the penultimate corner. He'll do one for the final corner.
I expect this from Bruce. We all know, a bit like me, he does a lot of rallying on WRC, so this very much expected as a little
There he goes, sliding the car out of the final corner. Mikey tried to do the same and then spun, but never mind. Bruce across the line. Mikey is the last one, and he's actually spun almost into the pit lane. Don't get lapped, Mikey, by the cool down traffic, because that would be impressive. But out he comes in the final corner. There's clearly no temperature in those soft tyres. Nice little drift from Mikey. Here he comes towards the line in the Prema. Jordan, I will let you do the results in a moment, because I think I might have lost my voice there, because that was fantastic. Drive of the day, Shortbread 224. Great drive.
I think we lost our voices on that one. Yeah, that was an insane bit of racing. As you can see, Maris, I'm pretty certain you're not allowed to bring your steering wheel onto the podium, but she has done anyway.
It's her first win. I think the FIA will let her go with that one.
Might get a reprimand for that one for the FIA. And, yeah, good celebrations for Maris as she takes her first win with Bjorn de Boer in second. Clips Kiri will claim the final podium place again. I think that's a double podium for Clips Kiri tonight. Shortbread fourth. Ruddo, good damage limitation tonight, just making sure he picks up points during the evening to try and keep that championship alive as we head towards the final round. ARL 6th, Reshka 7th, Matty 8th, Stephen 9th, Lion Agreesby 10th, Ginger Tiger 11th, Anthony Hunt finishes 12th, Nitrogas 13th, Sir Spud will be the 14th, with Ashley 15th, Bruce 16th, Mikey 17th, and the only DNF, Matty Rudd in 18th.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've just watched the best advertisement for Invictus Racing League we could ever give you. That had it all. Absolutely everything. And well done to Maras. I said at the start of the stream, has been unlucky with race results. Gets her first victory, so well done to Maras. And great points for MP Motorsport as well, Jordan, because first and third place, yeah, okay, it is the sprint, so it is, I think it would be 14 points going their way. But that's still quite a lot in the grand scheme of things, because not everybody as a team have been doing the best. So for those drivers, I think that'll come in quite beneficial for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to remember, this is only a 4-round championship. Yes, there's 8 races, but there's differing points for each race. And in a 4-round championship, as we say, it is the F2 mini league, quite literally. You know, every point is massive in a championship this short. Yes, it is just a bit of fun for the drivers whilst we're waiting for F125 to come out and look at that. But everyone takes the racing seriously, as we saw there. Everyone leaving space. Obviously, there are going to be mistakes happening. That's part of motorsport, but you could see everyone racing as hard as they dared, as fair as they could be. And it's led to some fantastic racing in what is essentially a fun league in between F1 seasons.
Yeah, what a championship we've had so far, and you know, it is a very short championship. Don't get me wrong, we've got one more race next Tuesday at Silverstone, the birthplace of Formula One, of course. The first round happening there in 1950. Jordan, will you be there for that?
I'll be there for that one. Yeah, I'll be in the commentary box. I want to say, just catching on the last couple of comments, TMCHD saying that we're apparently better than most actual commentators, so play praise there. And Spud saying the
Sky sign us up.
be removed.
Yeah, I think Spud's penalty is a bit of an odd one. We'll have to find out. So Spud, make sure you put that in as a ticket so that the admin stewards can have a look at that. I won't be looking at it because if I do anything with the tickets, I'll break the Discord. But that is that for this evening. Jordan, before we say goodbye, I'm going to give you the opportunity to pick your driver of the day across the two races. We haven't done this, but I wanted you to do it. Who would you say your driver of the day across both races? Who would you give it to?
Across both races, I think you've got plenty of people. I mean, you've got Beyond a Boa, who's had to come through the grid on both occasions, but I think on consistency basis, I think it'd have to be Eclipse. Eclipse has shown fantastic racecraft in terms of patience, and also defence against shortbread as well for a long time. You know, but he's consistent 2 podiums in a short championship season. That's a really good display of driving today.
Could bring him right into the championship fight when we go to Silverstone. Same time next Tuesday, 8 PM. Of course, you can watch it all live here on Invictus Racing League. But for tonight, that is it for us for the F2 Mini League. It's good night from Jordan.
Good night.
And it's good night from me, Jack TM53, and whoever might be in the big wide world. Have a good one. We'll see you for the final race next Tuesday.